Hi, Andy Herringshaw with Tractor Innovations. Today I'm back in my hometown of Muskogee, Oklahoma to show you the installation of a double spool remote hydraulic kit on this Kubota tractor. This is absolutely the most affordable and easiest way to get a set of live remotes on your tractor. These are going to install off the Power Beyond circuit of the loader valve and will always be live. So anytime the tractor's running, you've got your remotes active. Some of the other kits I build are a diverter type valve where you're selecting back and forth between a loader function and whatever you want on the remote. But these are always live, just like factory remotes. These kits come absolutely complete with every bit of hardware, couplers, everything you need. We're going to be installing this kit on a bracket that's hung on the rollover protection kit so that your valve sits up about like an armrest. It's going to be sitting right up in this area. You can choose just to bolt this straight to the fender, but you are limited a little bit in your placement because we've got a handle here on the fender. So we'll hang it right up here, and that gives you really good access to your other controls on your right hand. Today we're putting this on a Kubota MX series, but the installation is exactly the same for Kubota L series, lots of B series tractors, and then I build these kits for other brands as well. Check out these kits on my website right here below. My phone number is there. Let me know how I can help you with your tractor. This kit works great to power a hydraulic top and side link. Lots of people want that on their tractor, but also if you need one of the remotes to run to the front for a grapple, we can add those hoses and have you with power to the front. I'm also going to show you the option on this kit. Once we've got a double spool remote kit live working in the rear, we can also add in a coupler so that you can plug in your backhoe, you can plug in a log splitter, any implement like that that needs just live flow, that has its own valve. So we can have this running live as well as any other implement you would want to add. I'll show you that as we add the hoses onto the tractor. So let's get started. All right, the first step to installing this double spool kit is to take this broad flat bracket and two small brackets, and we're gonna bolt it right here onto the rollover protection. That's gonna let us attach this long bar to hold the valve right out here at a really nice angle that's easily reachable. So take your broad flat plate. We've got some 3-inch bolts in here, as well as lock washers and nuts. To attach this flat plate to the rollover protection, you've really got a lot of options. You can put it on the outside or the inside, and that's going to subtly adjust the position of the valve next to your seat. For this tractor, I really want it to sit as far out as possible, really over the fender. So I'm going to put this plate on the outside of the rollover protection, and this forward rod is going to sit on the outside. It's going to be against this plate. So I'm going to take one of the 3-inch bolts, go through this plate, and these small pieces become the backer. So it's going to go on the bolt. I'll do the same behind. I can hold these pretty easily as I put on a lock washer and nut. And I'm just going to take these finger tight so they stay in place. And then we'll really tighten it once I put the bar on and feel out where that valve's going to be. Okay, so that's finger tight. Let's go ahead and put on the second backer. We've got these two holes on the side that are kind of slots. That's where a U-bolt is going to go. We're going through just the round holes here. Okay, that plate is attached. I'll be able to loosen that and move it all over in a minute. Now I take these two U-bolts and my forward attachment rod is there. The U-bolt goes over this rod, and on the back side we put the lock washers and nuts. I'm going to slide this as far forward as it goes, just so we can feel out that distance, and then that is adjustable later. So your second U-bolt goes on here, lock washers and nuts on the back side. Again, just finger tight. We'll adjust this once we've got the valve on. The valve mounting plate is in position, and as you can see here, it can go forward and back. We can change the angle. We can really get this sitting where we like. And if we want to move the valve further inboard, we can flip this plate over to the inside of the rollover protection, or as we move it up on this tractor, it will move out. Some tractors have this rollover protection exactly vertical, so you're more limited on your side-to-side movement, but this one, we can work that angle. Now we're ready to mount this double spool valve up onto the bracket. One of the bolts is usually already in the valve just because of the way these hoses go on. So we're going to slide that into the bracket, and out of the hardware kit comes a second bolt, and we've got it on the bracket. Go ahead and put a lock washer and nut on here, and then we'll get up on the tractor and feel out how it's situated, see if we want it in a different position. Before I go sit on the tractor and feel how these are going to go, I'm going to go ahead and thread in my handles for this valve. You can have them pointing up, or you can also have them pointing forward, or one and one, however you like, whatever makes sense for you to control your implement. If you wanted them forward and have this sitting really low, this valve can mount 3 or 4 inches lower here, and you'd have an armrest with just your hands to operate these pointed way forward. Totally up to you. From the spool valve, I've brought the supply hose that has this female swivel fitting all the way under the tractor. Found a nice safe routing where it's not rubbing on anything that's moving, like the brake pedal or other pieces of an implement under the tractor. And I've routed away from anything hot. There's no exhaust on this part of the tractor, but do just keep an eye out for things that would get hot and hurt a hose. So it is run under the floorboard and right up here next to the loader valve. Now we're going to look for the Power Beyond port on the loader valve. On these newer Kubotas, those are marked in green. So this tractor came with green tape already on the Power Beyond hose here. Also up here on the loader valve, there's a green paint mark. So you can often find the green, but there are many, many models that have this same layout of a loader valve. And this green mark here is the Power Beyond port. So coming right out of the front of the loader valve on the outboard side is our Power Beyond port. So before we disconnect any hydraulics, take a minute and move your loader lever to all 4 positions, set down your 3-point. We just want to make sure nothing is going to move as we're bumping in here messing around with the hydraulics. I just did that, relieved all the pressure. Do that right before you disconnect or unhook anything to make sure all the pressure is out. So we are going to disconnect this Power Beyond hose, and this supply hose to the double spool valve is going to plug right into its place. We are going to completely remove this green hose from the tractor, and then this fitting down here is going to get turned 180 degrees almost and point towards the rear of the tractor to capture the fluid coming back from the double spool valve. So you need a 7/8 wrench and an 11/16 here. Use the 11/16 as your backer and loosen this fitting. If you're having any trouble figuring out which is the Power Beyond fitting on your tractor, the surefire test is to disconnect the hose you think it is and bump your starter for just a second. Fluid should be flowing out of that fitting as your tractor is running, or even just as you crank it, without moving the loader lever or anything. Just that's where fluid should naturally be flowing out of whenever the loader lever is in neutral position. That's the surefire way to know the Power Beyond circuit. We're going to tap in there because it is already protected by the overpressure system in the loader valve. So if we block up something in the Power Beyond circuit, it's naturally going to go through pressure relief in the loader. We are not tapping in on the pressure side of this valve because that is not protected. This green hose is off. Now I'm going to disconnect it down here, and the only fluid we're going to lose is what's in this line. There is a zip tie up here, but luckily it's a really nice zip tie that you can loosen by pressing the tab. So I'm going to get that out of the way. It's easiest to take it completely off because this swivel side that's straight, we're going to connect that to a hose under the tractor. Then we'll feed it back to this original position to use that 90-degree side to go right back onto the tractor. The original Power Beyond hose is out of the way. I've just got it leaning against the tire over here. So here's our supply hose back to the double spool valve. It's routed over this block on the tractor transmission. I'm going to get it right up here into place, and it's just going to thread right onto this Power Beyond port of the loader. A few times when I've worked on these, this port has been twisted in too much. It's pretty much resting against the quick coupler here. So I have a couple times had to loosen this jam nut. It's just an O-ring fitting in there, and twist it out just a little bit to give me enough room to comfortably work on this JIC type threaded fitting. Tighten that on with 7/8 wrench. And we are fully connected. We're done with the fittings up here on the loader valve. We have the supply line hooked up from the Power Beyond port up here to the P side, the pressure side of the double spool valve. Now I'm taking the return line marked T on the valve, and it's gonna have the right fitting. You can't get it wrong. And I'm gonna take this male JIC fitting and hook it straight into the straight part of this Power Beyond return hose. All right, we're gonna tighten that on with 7/8 inch wrench. I'm now gonna take this return line and feed it under the tractor in that same route that I put the pressure hose. And notice that I leave this so it can twist. We've got a 90-degree angle on this end that needs to get pointed right into the tractor, and you never know quite where that is. So we'll get this tightened, and then this swivel fitting up on the double spool valve, we'll tighten that up after. And it's marked with tape so you don't forget to do that. I have the return hose brought from the back of the tractor, and it's going right back on this port. And I want to leave enough room so that this filter can spin. So as I lay it in here, I can see it wants to rub there. So just make sure that hose bends in the right direction. And there we go. I'll be able to tighten it on with a nice little bit of room between this fitting and the filter. There we go. That is its permanent mounting spot there. Now I need to go back to the valve and tighten this hose onto the valve. This is the return line taking pressure back into the tractor. It's the T port on the spool valve here, and it's marked with tape. Often there's a sticker that'll say tighten after mounting. And so you can undo this tape. That lets you know this fitting has to be tightened. We wanted to be able to rotate that hose just right to get it hooked into the tractor. And now we're putting it into its permanent spot. All right, be sure not to over tighten this. Once it's tight against it, maybe one more little bit. It is easy to strip these hoses out. So just get it kind of wrist tight. Don't put your whole arm into it. All right, the hydraulics are completely connected to the double spool valve. Now our last bit is to mount the quick couplers for the remotes. So as you see coming out of the valve, we've got a pair on the left, a pair on the right. We're gonna mount each of those pairs together. And to mount them, we've got a T-bracket. You're gonna take each one of these couplers. You see the central groove in the coupler. A U-bolt is gonna slide over that, and that goes directly into the T-bracket. So you'll mount each pair of couplers next to each other. And we've got lots of options. You can come down here to a crossbar. You can put them up here further on the rollover protection. These T-brackets are drilled so that you could mount them sandwiched on the rollover protection, one on the inside, one on the outside. Lots of tractors provide a little more room back here. On this MX tractor, there's not really room to sandwich them. If I put it out here, there's not room for the coupler out here. So here's what I'm gonna do for this tractor. I'm gonna use this T-bracket instead of one of these backer bars right here. So we'll have a pair of couplers here, pair of couplers here, and it'll really be, I believe, well organized and look really easy to do. You can see this tractor does already have one set of remotes powering the hydraulic top link. So we're gonna be adding 2 more sets here. He'll have a lot of remotes to work with. I'm glad I just left these finger tight because there's always a lot to figure out here at the end of an installation. As you push your hoses in place to get them hooked up into these T-brackets, every once in a while, you just need to bend a hose a little differently. Take a look, this outside hose, I couldn't quite get it squished into place, but if I wrapped it on the outside of this mounting bar, it really makes a nice little curl and then settles into place. You'll know you've got it right when the hose just kind of settles and is relaxed. So a U-bolt, and I'll put on the lock washers and nuts. We got one coupler in place. Let me make sure the other one is the pair to that. And I think I'm going to do the same thing. Wrap it on the outside of this mounting bar. And with that little bit of twist, the hose just relaxes into place. Instead of really being bound up, just having an S-bend in it, putting a little bit of curl really makes it relax. All right, on lots of tractors, I do love to take the two T-brackets and sandwich them. On this tractor, it's presenting just a little less space, I think because of the curve, and I thought about putting this T-bracket right down here, but there is a piece of the fender. One small hole drilled would allow you to have those two remotes right here. On this tractor, I didn't bring my drill, so we're not gonna do the drilling. What I'm gonna do is take this backer bar, and we're gonna mount the other remotes right up here next to the first set. So you'll have 4 couplers in a line right up here. That might be a little higher than some people want for their implements. If you're hooking up something permanent, like a top and tilt kit or something, you might want them a little more tucked in here. But say for a hay implement or something that you're gonna be entering, connecting, and then going to work, these higher couplers might just make sense. You've got enough hose really to set them where you want. When I ship these out, the kits right now I'm putting 2-foot hoses on. If you want longer hose, just let me know. You could have those remotes along here on the back. I build these custom, so you let me know what you want for your tractor. All right, as I go to tighten these up, I'm gonna take a look, and this coupler here is actually hitting this bolt right behind there. So I'm gonna need to loosen the bracket and move it up just 1/2 inch. If the hose and the fittings here are contacting something behind there, it's not gonna allow the hose to flex in and out. Take a look here. That inner sleeve has to slide in and out about 3/8 of an inch to allow the couplers to connect and disconnect. So I am gonna have to move this one up just a little bit. All right, with the remote couplers mounted here, our installation is complete. One thing I like to do before I leave the back end of the tractor is to take one of the male coupler tips. Here I've got it screwed into an elbow just so I got something to grab. You might have it on a hose already or something, and just test each one of these couplers to make sure that inner piston can slide in and out to accept and release a fitting. So for these breakaway type couplers, you just shove in to connect, pull out to disconnect. Those are working just fine. There we go. If there's any binding, if something on the back of this hose isn't allowing it to slide about 3/8 of an inch each way, you'll know right now. Later, when you go to hook things up, if you have any sort of connection issues, it's almost always pressure in the line, either on the tractor side or implement side. If you've ever got trouble connecting, check which side you're having pressure on. On the male fitting side, you should be able to push in on that poppet. If you can't, you've got pressure on the implement side you need to deal with. You should also be able to reach into this female fitting and push in on the poppet inside there. If you can't, you've got pressure on the tractor side, and you can usually relieve that by reaching up with the engine off, moving your valves around. That should get rid of the pressure. But yep, these connect just fine, you are ready to run an implement. If you've got a log splitter, backhoe, or other constant flow implement to add, while we're putting on this double spool valve, we can do an add-on and put a coupler in line. So I've got the bracket mounted right here, and this coupler can mount right up under the tractor, just like that. And when you want to plug in a backhoe, instead of a solid pressure line going up to the double spool valve, you'll have a coupler here. So when you want to plug in a backhoe or log splitter, you simply disconnect this coupler, and this is your pressure port. So you'd plug in your backhoe here, return from your backhoe here, and you'll have flow going through that implement, up into the double spool, and then back into your tractor. So they'll all be live anytime the tractor is running. And then when you take the implement off, simply plug these couplers right back into each other, and your double spool will be running on your tractor as usual. If you'd like to add this Power Beyond port, it's in the options as you go to order this kit, or give me a call. Well, there you have it, the easiest and most affordable way to get additional remote hydraulics on your tractor. Today we did a 2-spool valve, but I build these in single, double, triple. I keep those in stock, but can do additional valves as well if you need a whole lot of remotes. Always just mechanical valves, really nothing to go wrong, super simple systems to plug into your tractor. Today it was on a Kubota, but I build these for all the different brands of tractors. But if you don't see it in the compatibility list, give me a call with some pictures. We can figure it out for your tractor. Also on this tractor, we added the functionality for a backhoe and a log splitter. We've got a Power Beyond coupler right underneath the tractor on the axle, right in the factory location. So any implement you could want to add with constant flow can plug in there. These remotes are going to be always live. Anytime the tractor's running, you're ready to move these. You're not trading off a loader function with the diverter kits. Check out my website below. My phone number is there. Let me know how I can help you improve your tractor. And thanks for watching.